Hello my mellow fellows, or should I say my mystical magicians. It's Tara here, ready to talk about Rudy once again. I made a video about a yearish ago where I did a detailed deep dive into Rudy's character. It was my second Bob's Burger video essay I ever did. At the time when I made the script for that video, I think it was around season 11 or 12ish. He's made appearances here and there, but he hasn't really been the focus lately. So for the most part, I didn't see the need to make another video about him. I covered pretty much everything I needed to in the first video. That was until the latest season came out and we got the episode The Amazing Rudy. An episode that was not only beautifully creative, but also gave greater insight into Rudy as a person. It confirmed a lot of things I said in my first video, and it also showed us another side of Rudy that we haven't seen before. We also got a deeper look into what his family is like as a whole. We've heard about his family, but seeing it in action is like two different things. So this video isn't a character study like I usually do. Instead, we can kind of call it an episode breakdown or analysis. Sounds good? Alright, so grab your blankets and your favorite stuffed animal to hug as you cry as we talk about The Amazing Rudy. We start off in a completely different perspective than what we are usually used to. Usually, we're following the Belchers throughout their day of many misadventures. Whether it's the adult or the kids, the show is usually centered around them. However, this time we take the perspective of Rudy Stieblitz in a day of his life. Already the tone of this episode feels so different. In a way, it feels a bit heavier and cinematic. The tone right off the bat is more serious, and it is clear we are in for an emotional ride. I also like the detail of the wedding ring the kids lost back in season 10 still being in the bird's nest. It's a small thing, but I love mentioning continuity things like that. If you want to know how it got in that bird's nest, just watch my nap video and it will explain the whole situation. We start off the episode with Rudy in bed at his dad's house. As I said in my last Rudy video, Rudy usually spends the weekends at his dad's house and primarily lives with his mom. Though, ironically, we mostly see him with his dad in the show. His mom does live within walking distance of his dad's condo, so he could see his dad anytime. Rudy is talking to his stuffed animal Pancake, saying how he didn't sleep well last night. Why? Because it's Saturday. On Saturdays, once a month, he has family dinner with both of his parents, and he was dreading it.
It's Saturday morning, so tonight is Saturday night, which is, you know what? Yep, feeling a little stressed, I guess.
You see, Rudy's parents are divorced, but they hold these dinners to help Rudy feel like there's still some normalcy within the family. But Rudy sees these dinners as stressful and gets major anxiety over it. Specifically, this particular one. At breakfast, his dad Sylvester is talking to Rudy about their plans tonight. Sylvester is noticeably nervous about the dinner, but he's trying to put on a brave face for Rudy. He keeps repeating things like, "It's gonna be fun," and "I'm excited." However, Sylvester was way too nervous about the dinner himself to really comfort Rudy about not being thrilled about the dinner.
You excited? I'm excited.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes.
And now I'm familiar with the menu, so I can just relax and enjoy the evening.
Focus on having fun with everybody.
Because it's gonna be so fun.
For sure.
You jazzed?
Very jazzed.
Jazz twins, aren't we?
Sylvester is a rather awkward and passive guy in general, but at this moment he was more anxious than he usually is. Even though Sylvester is trying to comfort Rudy, in this moment it's Rudy who is soothing his dad's worries. Rudy hid his own feelings about dinner and pretended that he was okay. He didn't want his dad to worry even further by expressing any of his discomfort. We've seen in the past that Rudy tends to bottle up his emotions sometimes until it becomes too much for him to bear. In this moment, he was more focused on keeping his dad calm before worrying about himself, which is very in character for Rudy's selfless nature. Rudy has a habit of trying to take care of his dad, and he would ignore his own feelings in the process. Even though he's awkward, Sylvester is very supportive of Rudy and tries his best to uplift him, but he doesn't always catch when Rudy is upset or hiding how he feels. Usually he's too in his own world to really notice. Anyways, Rudy agrees to go run errands with his dad as long as they stop by the magic shop. You see, Rudy has been doing his tableside magic for his parents for years, so he wants to keep up with the tradition. They go to the store Wands, which is a magic shop we've seen before. It's the same shop that Tina went to when she was doing the magic competition against Jimmy Jr. Instead of the regular shop owner Horace, we meet his wife Esmeralda, who is working at the shop while he's off to a Cape convention. And she is played by the beautiful legend Shirley Ralph. Rudy is a regular in the store, so he feels familiar with both of the owners. This time around, he's trying to find a trick that has wide appeal and could be an icebreaker.
Well, looking for something that can really wow a group and work in a restaurant situation.
Okay.
So maybe it could be kind of an icebreaker, maybe sort of a conversation piece. Just, a magic trick that brings all of humanity together, even in the most awkward of fine dining experiences.
He ends up settling with a sodium polyacrylate trick, whatever.
Sodium polyacrylate.
Sodium poly, what'd you say?
Step over here and I'll show you how it works. It'll be perfect for the setting. It's $8.99 plus tax. Leaves you a little left over for a cocktail. You're 21, right?
I turned 35 last month, but thank you.
Later, Rudy is back with his dad getting the car wash. Sylvester tries to check in with Rudy again about the dinner, but this time he's more direct. He tries to empathize with Rudy, but he kept stumbling over his words, trying to come up with something good to say. He basically told Rudy that he knows these dinners are awkward and that Rudy is a trooper. At least that's what he was trying to say. He also acknowledged that these dinners will be different because both him and his mother are bringing dates. He wanted Rudy to know that he thinks Paul, his mother's boyfriend, is very nice. He also wanted Rudy to know that they both loved him very much. The thing is, that's nice and all, but Rudy could barely hear him over the car wash. He probably should have waited until literally any other time to talk to him, but it's okay, I guess. Next, we see them going to the mall for their last errand. While his dad was busy, Rudy decides to go try on hats to possibly wear for dinner. Rudy is a hat collector after all. While looking for hats, he sees the Belcher kids playing in the fountain, but he doesn't say hi to them at first. Seeing the Belchers from Rudy's perspective was pretty interesting. I'm so used to their antics, I forgot how weird they are sometimes. Even though Rudy didn't say anything to them at first, eventually he does go say hi to them. The Belchers were at the mall to buy Bob a new special pillow for his neck, and to look for an anniversary gift for Linda's parents. They were also planning to make Gene a special dinner for bringing his grade up in science up to a B-.
I get to pick any dinner I want, and I picked loaded baked potato lasagna, which is something I made up when I was definitely paying attention in science.
Are you sure you don't want something else?
It's my day!
It's his day, Dad.
Yep, it's just I'm not sure lasagna should include a loaded baked potato or a cornbread crust.
It sounds awful, but at the same time, I'm kind of morbidly curious to know what that might taste like. It's an abomination for sure, but also slide me a plate. Louise invites Rudy for dinner, but Rudy says he can't because he has his family's dinner. Louise told him it was fine and that he can just come over some other time. Next, we see Rudy at home waiting for his dad to finish getting ready. Rudy and Sylvester both seem really nervous. Rudy is very internally nervous. You could tell by his body language that he's stiff, uncomfortable, and fidgety. Sylvester, on the other hand, is outwardly nervous and tends to ramble a lot. Like I said earlier, his mom is bringing Paul, and Sylvester is bringing his lady friend Vicky, who he hasn't been with for very long, which is not very surprising. Another charming quirk of Sylvester: his poor track record with women is part of his personality at this point. The goal of this dinner is to just hang out and talk like a family, but everyone's pretty nervous about it regardless. Also, side note, it's funny how much of Rudy's personality he gets from his dad. They are so alike in a lot of ways. Rudy is like a more confident and calmer version of his father.
Should I not wear this hat?
What? No. Confident Conrad, it's a great look.
Yeah, but, well, maybe I won't.
No, I'm going untucked.
Maybe yes on the hat.
Did this
I mean,
get
it's hard to
longer?
tell.
It's like down to my knees
Or I
now.
could do a hat off. Maybe I just carry it.
You know what? We both look great. Let's go. We're leaving the condo.
On the way there, Sylvester tries to check up on Rudy one more time. It seems like by this point he definitely knows that Rudy is feeling nervous, but he can't get Rudy to open up to him. He makes light conversation, but ends up jumbling his words again because of how nervous he is. Sylvester is definitely trying his best in this episode, but he's not the best communicator and is not a very elegant speaker. So he kind of finds himself at a loss trying to speak to Rudy.
So glad we do these dinners. Me, you, and your mom. And now we're adding some more people, but that's good too, right? I mean, Paul and Vicky, and me and your mom. I mean, not Paul and Vicky. Your mom and Paul and me and Vicky. And you. Of course, you're the guest of honor. But not a guest, because you're our child.
Once they were in the restaurant, the adults seemed to be chatting amongst themselves. Well, actually, Sylvester is doing a lot of nervous talking and the others are kind of just listening. This is the first time in a series where we actually meet Rudy's mother. He's talked about her, but finally we get to actually see her. While that's going on, we see that Rudy is disassociating a little bit. Through all the chatter, he seems to be lost in his own thoughts as the noisy restaurant fades in the background. He thinks back to a time where his family was together and happy. We get a heartbreaking sequence of the progression of their family dinners. At first, his parents were holding hands and seemed happy as they watched Rudy perform his magic tricks. Then, as the events progress, his parents sit further away from each other. They're looking down, they're not talking, they're disengaged with each other. It's very clear that as time went on, they just became more and more unhappy with each other. The only time they looked up and smiled was to watch Rudy perform. Rudy performed for them so that they could be happy. For a moment, they could laugh like a family again instead of having this tense, awkward tension between them. Somehow it became Rudy's job to ease the tension with his parents, which is something a kid shouldn't have to do. When the current dinner seemed to be getting quiet, Rudy again decides to bring the mood up with his magic tricks. He tries the trick he bought earlier in the episode. However, he ended up accidentally messing up the trick and ended up spilling the liquid all over the table. His parents tried to comfort Rudy, saying it's okay and it's not a big deal, but you can tell by the look on Rudy's face that he was genuinely upset that he messed up the trick. Rudy blamed himself and kept saying how it didn't work. The way his voice was cracking was heartbreaking to watch.
Sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen like that. I didn't do enough banter. I was supposed to wait 30 seconds.
That's okay, honey. I loved it. Loved the trick. Can we, get some napkins over here?
But it didn't work.
What is this stuff?
Sodium polyacrylate.
What?
I'm not supposed to reveal my tricks.
To be honest, when Rudy said it didn't work, I think that he meant more than just the trick not working. It felt more like he was referring to the situation with his parents. The one thing Rudy has been able to do for years was lift the mood up between his parents with his magic trick. But this time, he wasn't able to do it. He wasn't able to fix it. Not only was he embarrassed, but he failed at his self-appointed role of making things better. Just like Teddy, Rudy is a fixer. He was tasked with trying to make the best out of the situation. Just like Teddy sat between his parents so that they wouldn't argue so much, Rudy sat between his parents to keep things light and less awkward. He used to perform for his parents for fun, but now he has to use his magic for icebreakers. His performances now have a specific purpose: to make things okay. It somehow became his job to make his parents happy again, like they used to be. Without him, these dinners would be quiet and uncomfortable. So when Rudy muttered, "It didn't work," you can tell how much emotion was being stirred up inside. And just like in previous episodes, once Rudy gets overwhelmed with emotion, he usually ends up exploding in the form of tears. Rudy excused himself to go to the bathroom and quickly left the table. His eyes were welling up with tears, and he didn't want his family to see him cry. Rudy already holds his emotions from his parents, so them seeing him cry wasn't an option for him. However, instead of going to the bathroom, he decided to leave the restaurant and run away from this dinner. Rudy ends up wandering aimlessly through the streets, crying, until he ends up walking past Bob's Burgers. He sees his friends inside closing up as a family. And compared to the emotional sadness that we feel from Rudy right now, it's a big contrast with how happy and warmth the Belchers seem right now. The way Rudy looks at them being a happy family is really sad, considering that in his view, he lost his family. Louise notices him, and of course they invite Rudy to come up and eat with them. Rudy lied, saying his dinner got moved to a different day and said his parents dropped him off, so no one knew that he actually ran away.
Look at that, Rudy. I can't wait to see her come out.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it? My creation come to life. This must be how Dad felt when I was being born. My lasagna is crowning!
As they went upstairs to have the super lasagna dinner, Gene decides to give a speech to the family. He thanks his family for making this monstrosity of a dinner possible.
I could never have made this dream a reality without the people who were there to help me along the way. Mom, who's the wind beneath my noodles and the boss of all my sauce.
Aw.
Dad, for not standing in my way with Mom. Tina and Louise for letting me shine brighter than you ever could. Rudy, love you, bro. Now let's eat.
Even though the speech itself was unserious, the sentiment of Gene being grateful to his family made Rudy a bit envious of their family dynamic. Gene even let Rudy sit in his spot at the dinner table so that Rudy could be between him and Louise. Rudy felt safe coming to the Belcher house because he's an honorary member of the family. Rudy is like the fourth Belcher kid. I think Rudy ran to them because he wanted to have a normal family dinner, one where there isn't any forced conversation, one where there isn't any tension, one where he doesn't have to perform for love. Instead, he could just relax and have fun with his friends. The loving warmth in the Belcher household is something Rudy desperately needed in that moment. Gene went around asking what everyone thought about the food. Most of them were confused by the flavor profile, which is understandable. It's a lot. It sounds like a lot.
Mom, go.
A lot.
Okay, that's 2 words, but I'll let it slide because you made it. Dad.
So much.
Wrong. Louise.
Food? Question mark?
Strike that from the record. Tina.
A lot of cheese and bacon and noodles and red sauce and ground beef and chives and sour cream and is that a piece of bagel?
When he asked Rudy, Rudy told him it was groundbreaking and better than what he ordered. However, because he said that, this raised red flags, obviously, because Rudy told them he didn't go to dinner, so how could he order dinner? Rudy tries to backtrack, but Bob and Linda were starting to get concerned that his parents didn't know where he was. Linda tried to call Sylvester, but his phone was on silent. By the way, his parents did notice that he was gone for a long time, but they were trying to give him space to calm down on his own. However, he is only 9 years old, and I think someone probably should have checked on him by that point, but whatever. Rudy tries to leave, but Bob and Linda, being responsible, didn't want him walking back home alone in the dark. Rudy at this point decides to tell the truth and told them that he ran away.
I kind of walked out of dinner with my mom and her boyfriend and my dad and his Vicky. We were all eating dinner together for the first time, which I guess is how family dinners are going to be from now on. And I did a magic trick and it was going to be pretty good, but I messed it up. And I guess, yeah. Technically, I ran away.
Wait, what?
Oh boy.
Linda decided to call Rudy's parents again to let them know that he is safe and with them. Bob decided that he's going to drive Rudy back and walk him in.
Hopefully Vicky's pants aren't stained. I got sodium polyacrylate on them.
Is that drugs?
No, it's from the magic trick I tried to do at dinner.
Oh, I'm sure Vicky's pants are fine, hon. It's not like they were suede or something, right?
They were suede.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine, honey.
Rudy was noticeably sad, and it was clear that he didn't want to go back there. So Louise instead offers to walk Rudy back herself and keep him company at his family's dinner. She offered to make small talk for him and keep things from being awkward and take some of the focus off of him for dinner.
Probably a good thing if I tag along, huh? Stay for dinner, make amusing small talk.
Oh, really? I mean, yeah, if you come, you can have half my meal, and then my dad can drop you off here on our way home.
Sure. That lasagna was more like an appetizer anyway.
Oh, please.
So I'll walk Rudes back to his foods? Sound good?
Rudy liked the idea and started to feel better about going back. Having Louise as his backup made the situation less daunting for him to return. So with her parents' permission, Louise goes with him and they talk all the way to the restaurant.
Sweet girl we got there.
She is sometimes, isn't she?
Emily, why am I the only one sitting at the table?
The moments where he's talking to Louise seem to be the most normal he's been this whole episode. They plan a whole new trick on their way, and Rudy is for the most part not nervous anymore. Louise gives him a little smile and a nod as they finally go back to rejoin his family for dinner. And that was the bittersweet ending to this beautifully done episode. There's a bit I want to talk about, so let's just get into it. This episode had a lot of different themes that a person could pull from. The effects of being a child of divorce. How important it is to have a support system that you can rely on in times of emotional distress. How unaddressed feelings always tend to bubble up to the surface one way or another. So many different things can be said about this episode. That is what makes it a truly special episode of Bob's Burgers. An episode that took a creative risk by playing most of the episode completely straight without any sort of comedy. Instead of trying to force in comedy, they focused on showing us the true heart and emotions of the show. Community and friendship can make even the hardest times feel okay. Rudy is a fan favorite for a reason. Rudy is sweet, reliable, and he stays true to himself. Rudy is a lovable character, and seeing a beloved character from his own point of view helps us understand him better as a person. We see that both his parents are trying their best to be there for him. They grew apart as a couple, and to be honest, getting a divorce was probably the best option for them. In my last Rudy video, I talked about his parents' very different personalities. Sylvester is a very odd and insecure man. He's always going on dates with women, he catfished, and his relationships don't really tend to last very long at all. He tends to get broken up with and dumped often. It's giving Winston, if I'm being real. And I love Winston, by the way. I meant the getting dumped part, not the personality part, because Winston would never. Anyway, Rudy's mother, on the other hand, was very overprotective of Rudy, which makes sense. The boy is allergic to kind of everything, and I theorized that maybe she was overbearing because Rudy said that she hates fun. At the time when I made that video, we haven't really seen her present in the show. Now that she's appeared in the show, she does seem to be more calmer and more rational than how she was first described in the show by Rudy. She also seems to be more secure and stable than Sylvester is, not only in her personality, but also in her love life. His mom was supportive of Rudy, so she obviously isn't a bad mother. The point is, I can see why they just might not be the best couple. It's better to divorce than to be in a bad marriage. We've all seen examples of how staying in bad relationships can result in a very bitter and resentful relationship after the fact. So in no way in this video am I going to blame these two for not staying together. Working it out and trying to stick it out is not always the best option. However, I do think that Rudy's parents need to do a better job with handling their discomfort, specifically Sylvester. I do understand that they are nervous. It's the first time that they're doing these family dinners as a divorced couple with their current partners. However, the awkwardness is felt so strongly by Rudy. And as I said earlier, Rudy is a fixer. He tried to fix the mood and make both of his parents happy again. It somehow became his job to make things comfortable for everyone else. By no means do I think his parents did this intentionally, but it is on them to pick up on these emotional cues that their child has. Sylvester was so nervous the entire day that he couldn't successfully comfort Rudy. He tried to talk to Rudy multiple times, but he was so scared of saying the wrong thing that he barely ended up saying anything at all. His parents can't make Rudy's feelings go away, but they can help him through the divorce as best as they possibly can. I think the best course of action is to get Rudy into some type of counseling. If he doesn't feel like he can talk to his parents, maybe a professional would be a better option. I'm not a mental health expert or anything, but something in this family dynamic needs to change in order for Rudy to be happy again. That and time, of course. Rudy has always loved performing, from plays to miming to magic to costume contests. However, when he is performing for his parents, the goal isn't to simply entertain them. He does it to bring back some type of normalcy in their dynamic. That's not his job. It should have never been his job to take care of his parents in that way. He shouldn't feel like he has to put his dad's feelings first and neglect his own. The one time he didn't perform well for them, he couldn't handle it. He ran away crying from the scene. It's a clear indicator that something has to change, for Rudy's sake at least. The real MVP of this episode is the Belchers. Bob and Linda are very welcoming parents. Whenever their kids' friends come over, Bob and Linda always make sure to make them feel comfortable. They treat their guests like family. Even Tammy, but especially Rudy, who is over there so often, he's like another one of their kids. They didn't hesitate to invite him to dinner and include him in the odd family shenanigans that the kids are up to. And when they found out that he ran away, they did the responsible thing while also making sure to consider Rudy's feelings. Rudy felt safe with them. There is such kindness and love in the Belcher household. It's no wonder why Rudy would want to go there to feel some type of warmth to comfort him when he's feeling down. The kids were also really great in this episode. Tina and Jean treated Rudy like they always did, like a friend. Rudy has said in the past that he looks up to Tina like a role model, and Jean has always had a brotherly type of relationship with Rudy. They've supported each other from the 2 bunny goats to the ramp wars to the free ice cream day. They have always been there to help each other out. And of course, this wouldn't be a Rudy video if we didn't talk about our favorite bunny girl, Louise. Out of everyone in this episode, she was the one who knew what he needed the most. He needed support, and she volunteered to be his rock. And the best part is that she offered to go with him and played it off as no big deal. She did what she does best. She was there for him and she protected him. And of course, this isn't the first time that Louise has been protective of Rudy. It seems like Louise is the only person who knows what it takes to help him feel better. His genuine bond with Louise is unspoken but very sweet. Louise may not be the most social kid, but she is a fantastic friend when it counts, and I love that. The tonal shift for this episode was so unexpected, but that's what makes it so effective. The Bob's Burgers show has always had a lot of heart. They don't often talk about super serious things, but when they do, they handle it with empathy and care. Divorce is hard on everyone who is involved. The Belchers may not personally relate to what Rudy is going through, but they try their best to welcome him in and help him feel normal again. I think that's why he was able to open up to the Belchers in a way he couldn't open up to his own parents. In the Belcher home, you're always safe and supported no matter who you are. I mean, they were even able to make a dent in Tammy's behavior, so I do say that their home is pretty special. Now, usually this is where I end my video, but there was actually a follow-up episode to this that came out this month called the Big Stieblitzki. I think the plan is to air the rest of season 14 and then roll out the new season episodes right after. So technically this episode is part of last season instead of being part of the new season, even though it just came out. I know it's confusing, but that's how it is. So I figured I should talk about this episode too, since it's a nice follow-up to the Amazing Rudy. So let's talk about it. In this episode, we return to the normal Bob's Burgers formula and tone. We start the episode with the Belchers heading to Sylvester's birthday party. Normally just the kids would go to an event like this, but Bob and Linda sort of got guilt invited to the party while they were all at the parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, just planning a bowling party.
Rudy's party?
No, mine. It's a little thing I do for my birthday every year.
Oh, I love bowling.
Oh, do you want to
come
you to the party?
Yeah, yes.
So they were all going to this party as a family. Louise, on the other hand, is solely focused on making sure Rudy has a good time, since his family has been full of divorce drama. She thinks he deserves to have a good time. Also, there's this little cute side plot happening of Bob trying to remember the first time Linda said she loved him. It's not a huge plot point, but I just wanted to mention it. The family arrives at Sylvester's party and is greeted by Rudy. Rudy thanks them for coming to keep him company. It seems like the other kids weren't very interested in going to a 44-year-old man's bowling birthday party. One cool thing that came with the party is all you can drink slushies. I fully approve of all you can eat anything at parties. So yes, I fully endorse this. I want more parties that has all you can drink slushies. The kids are, not surprisingly, very happy about this and immediately goes over to get their slushies. Already, Rudy seems a bit off and Louise asks if he's okay. Turns out that Paul, his mom's boyfriend from the last episode, was also here. And Rudy was not very thrilled about it.
Look at him, smiling, listening to people talk, making eye contact. What's up with that?
Ugh, hate that.
It wasn't that Rudy hated Paul, but it was mostly about him being protective of his dad. Sylvester and Vicky broke up, which shouldn't be a surprise to any of you. Sylvester has bad luck with dating and could never seem to be able to keep a girlfriend for too long. This bad streak of luck has gone all the way back since season 4, where he basically catfished a girl on the wine train. Sadly, this one just adds to a long list of failed romances.
Oh no, who broke up with who?
It was pretty mutual. He sent her a text saying we need to talk, and she wrote back, break up, question mark? Then she gave her own text a thumbs up, and that was that.
Damn.
By contrast, his mom is in a more stable, committed relationship and seems to be more fortunate in that department. Anyways, because of this, Rudy is worried about his dad. He views his dad as fragile and wants to protect his feelings.
It's just, Dad's like a delicate caterpillar, waiting to become a big, strong, beautiful butterfly. But that's not going to happen if Mr. Nice all the time Paul comes over and steps on Dad's sweet little cocoon.
And how is Paul stepping on your dad's cocoon?
Seriously, Tina? Look at him.
In Rudy's view, he thinks Paul being such an amazing person will kind of outshine his father and make his dad feel insecure about himself on his birthday. And he wanted to make sure that his dad had a good birthday. But if we're being really honest, this is more so about Rudy feeling uncomfortable with Paul than it is about Sylvester, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. Louise agrees to help Sylvester look like a better man in comparison to Paul for the rest of the night. Since it's what Rudy wants, Louise is going to do it. Sylvester is good at bowling, so they decided to focus on that aspect to make him look cooler. Rudy was worried about Paul because according to Rudy, Paul was good at everything.
Paul is Paul. He's probably great at bowling. He's good at everything. I once saw a valet throw him his keys from like 6 feet away, and Paul caught it like it was nothing.
Whoa.
Right?
I mean, Paul doesn't seem that athletic and naturally strong, but also gentle.
I don't feel like giving him a trophy just for the cool way he's standing.
Rudy felt bad that his dad was still single, while in his view, his mom was showing off her relationship in front of his dad. To help Rudy feel better, Louise suggested that they help Sylvester find a girlfriend at this party too. So they set their plan in motion to help their dad look cool, make Paul look bad, and help his dad find a willing girlfriend all in one night. That completely sounds reasonable and doesn't sound like it can have any flaws in it at all. Sylvester lets the kids know that their lane is ready. He tells them that Bob and Linda, as well as his mom and Paul, were joining in their lane too. Hearing Paul would be directly bowling against his dad kind of sent Rudy into a bit of a panic. He was worried that Paul was going to crush his dad and humiliate him on his birthday. Louise calmed him down and swore on her slushy cup that she wouldn't let that happen. Also, this hilarious moment happened.
I swear it by my reusable slushy cup. Yeah, you heard me. Oh, ow, brain freeze.
Here, let me rub your
down.
head.
Thank you.
There you go.
It still hurts.
I know, let me really rub it.
That is both so funny and so cute at the same time. Look at my besties. Everyone gathers in the lanes to get the game started. While Rudy is paranoid, the adults in contrast seem to be having fun. Paul even cracked a lame yet charming bowling pun that Sylvester approved of. But even Paul making a joke was in Rudy's eyes stepping in his dad's territory, because his dad is known for making similar corny dad jokes, and Paul dared to impose on that. Louise came up with the divide and conquer plan, because one thing my girl knows how to do is organize a plan. She would try to keep Paul from bowling, Tina would go find Sylvester a girlfriend, and Jean and Rudy will go follow Sylvester to the men's room and pluck his wild eyebrow hair.
Wait, Rudy, what's Paul's deal again? What's he do?
He's an occupational therapist. If people have pain that makes it difficult to do things, he helps them with exercises or advice.
As if we couldn't hate him anymore.
I know.
Okay, everybody break. Go. Okay.
Everyone splits up and does their job with varying degrees of success. It would go as well as you expect. Fail, and actually slight success with the eyebrows.
It's worth it, Dad. I'm sorry. I love you.
The hair is fighting back. It wants to live.
You're gonna kill it.
Don't let it into your mind.
Kids, ow!
The adults start to bowl and Sylvester is off to a rocky start. Louise comes up with a new plan and the kids sneak off to the restricted area. They didn't make it far before getting caught by one of the teen employees. Before they can even get kicked out, Louise explains the situation and pleads with the girl to help them out. To their surprise, the girl actually loves the plan and decides to help.
I love it.
Huh? What?
I've got a Paul, but my Paul is named Penny and she makes my dad very happy.
How dare she?
Okay, we're cheating.
She decided to help them cheat by sabotaging the game behind the scenes in Sylvester's favor. Tina was uncomfortable with cheating, of course, and didn't think it was a good idea, but Louise insisted on it. Rudy thanked her and they resumed their cheating scheme.
Dad's ball hits the pins, there's just enough clearance over the backstop for us to toss an extra pin in there. And if we hit him just right, then it's nothing but strikes.
Fantastic.
To make the plan work, they needed a spy on the outside. Jean volunteered to go, but Louise knows he just wants to go out there for the slushies, which, understandable, same. Tina volunteered to go, but her lying face is a dead giveaway. So Louise decides to go herself to look on the scoreboard and memorize the order. Sylvester was at the moment losing to Paul, but there was still time to turn things around. Though he was doing better than Bob and Linda, they were both in last place, and by the looks of it, they are terrible at bowling. Also, by looking at the board, I could see that Rudy's mom's name is Holly, which is a very sweet name. I don't think anybody really said her name out loud, but yeah, her name is Holly. Louise was going to go back, but she was spotted by her parents. She of course teases them about how bad they were at bowling, and Bob agrees that they are in fact bad at this. Also, he's still trying to figure out when Linda told him she first loved him.
Did you say I love you when we were at a sports game of some kind?
No, but one time you threw up on me at a baseball game.
Yeah, but lovingly.
Yeah, kinda.
A lot of peanuts.
Cute. Anyway, Paul is still doing well, and Sylvester is honestly vibing with Paul and being supportive of him.
Bananas. It's a split.
Well, you're still way ahead of me. It's gonna be hard to catch you. That's a good pun, though. Bananas split.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't realize I did that.
Really?
While Louise starts to head back, she overhears Holly suspecting that Sylvester is letting Paul win on purpose. Turns out Sylvester is a good bowler like Rudy said he was, but he's been throwing the game to let Paul win.
What?
You're not doing it again, are you?
Doing what?
Letting someone win. I've been watching you. You haven't been doing that spinny thing with your wrist you usually do.
My trademark Spinderella? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
Once Louise heard this, she realized that she has to go back and tell everyone to call off the plan. As soon as she sees them, she tells them what was going on and wants to shut the plan down. However, Rachel, on the other hand, still wants to do the plan.
Paul has this coming. Penny has this coming. Always fostering shelter dogs, asking about my day, making Christmas magical. You're not my mom, Penny.
She sounds like a monster.
She is.
Louise, this is happening.
But no, wait. I'm closing the door now. Watch your fingers. What? No. She said watch your fingers.
On one side, Louise is pounding on the door trying to stop them. On the flip side, Jean and Tina are unsure what to do. Meanwhile, Rudy and Rachel are going headfirst into the plan. Louise felt like she had no choice but to step on the lanes. Blasphemy. Step on the lanes and block Sylvester from bowling. Ugh, with her shoes on. Oh my god. It kind of hurts seeing that, I'm not gonna lie. Everyone is rightfully confused, and Sylvester is obviously more concerned with her standing in the lane with her street shoes on. Louise tells them that she dropped a nickel and that she needed to get it, which isn't a very good excuse, but you know, go off queen. Louise talks to Rudy through the pinhole thingy-mabobbers and tells him that he doesn't have to do this.
Your dad doesn't need our help. There's a good chance he's throwing the game because he's a nice guy who's really good at bowling but doesn't want to make his ex-wife's new boyfriend look bad or something. And doing this plan could ruin everything. Anyway, if you get caught cheating, it'll make it weird with you and Paul. It'll make it weird with Paul and your dad. It'll make everything weird. Don't listen to her. We've got to do this. Stuff actually seems pretty okay between Sylvester and Paul. I'm realizing the person who doesn't seem okay is you.
Me?
No, Rudy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Louise is then told by multiple people that she needs to get off the lane, obviously. After saying all she could to Rudy, she leaves the decision up to him and finally gets off the lanes. Rudy thankfully decides not to go through with the cheating and let things play out naturally. It turns out that Louise's words did get through to him after all. She even got through to that girl Rachel.
I think I'm gonna go call Penny and apologize for my text. I mean, it wasn't actually any words, just a gif of an orangutan giving the middle finger, but still, I feel bad.
It's a solid gift, though.
Yeah.
After the game was over, Rudy went over to talk to his dad. Rudy asked his dad if he actually let Paul win. Sylvester tried to lie, but immediately just told the truth right off the bat and admitted to it.
He's not my competition, you know? He's part of your mom's life now, and your life, and mine.
Yeah.
But, you know, it doesn't change anything about you and me. I'll always be your dad, and you'll always be my rad son. My rad son, Rudy.
I just want you to be okay, Dad.
I am okay. I mean, sure, this is not how I thought our marriage would turn out, but I've got great friends and a great therapist, and there are wonderful shows on TV now, Rudy. Wonderful! I haven't even started The Crown.
I hear it's very nuanced.
Hey, don't underestimate your old dad.
This talk was a very much needed discussion that he needed to have with Rudy. Rudy has spent so much of this episode trying to one-up Paul and make sure his dad didn't lose to him. He saw Paul as an enemy trying to take down his dad. Mind you, the whole time, his father was doing his best to bond with Paul and uplift him. Sylvester even called them bowling buddies. It was obvious from the beginning that Rudy was the one who was uncomfortable with Paul, not Sylvester. He underestimated his dad and felt like he needed to protect him from this big threat. But really, Rudy just needed to talk to someone about his feelings and his discomfort. I think his dad did a good job explaining to him that this was never a competition. This was always just about spending time together as a family, but with some new additions to the family. Sylvester has for sure made some questionable parenting choices in past episodes. I also think that sometimes Rudy is a little too involved in his dad's love life. I think it would be better if Sylvester waits until things get more serious with a woman before introducing them to Rudy. Sylvester kind of has a revolving door of different women he meets online, and for the most part, Rudy is involved in the process. Whether it's picking up his girlfriends from the airport, sitting in the wine train for hours while his dad is on a date, or in the last episode going to dinner with them. Rudy was there for all his dad's many girlfriends, and seeing his dad fail over and over again after the divorce has made Rudy overprotective of his dad. Rudy has seen his dad been hurt in love over and over again and just wants him to thrive like his mom has been. But again, that's not his job. Even though Sylvester could do more to shield Rudy from all of this relationship drama, I do think that Sylvester has grown into a more respectable character in this last season. In past episodes, I viewed Sylvester kind of the same way as Teddy's love life. It's just kind of sad and desperate and chaotic. But in these last 2 episodes, I think the writers has made an effort to make his character more well-rounded than before and less of a sad man. I like him a lot more than I have in past seasons. In general, I have more empathy for Sylvester. He's not perfect, of course, but after this episode, I understand him more than before. And his talk with Rudy showed that his main priority is his son above everything. Even if he may have bad luck in love, at the end of the day, his son is kind of his best friend, and he makes sure that Rudy is loved. Again, he does need to do better with shielding Rudy from certain aspects of his life, but I do think he still tries his best. Anyways, after their little talk, a woman named Sherry came over to talk to Sylvester about their cooking class. This was the same woman that Tina was trying to hook him up with earlier in the episode. I didn't really mention it, but Sylvester and this lady Sherry takes like an Indian cooking class together, and we're casual friends with each other. And she came to his party. She's cute, he's cute, I say go for it. And she seems like a nice lady, unlike all these girls he's been meeting on the internet. And plus, my girl is a black woman. I support anything a black woman does. She's already a queen. Look at her. She's giving auntie, and you know his food's going to be seasoned from now on. I say invite her in. I vote for Sherry to be Rudy's new stepmother. I can tell by the way she dresses that she's very demure. She's very mindful. Very cultured.
Hey, Sylvester?
Hey, Sherry.
I'm heading out. I'm sorry we barely got to talk tonight. I mean, at least not directly.
Yeah. Well, see you in class. Hey, I hear we're cooking chicken vindaloo next week.
Yep, I'm Vinda looking forward to seeing you there.
Well, Vinda, you too. Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see that?
Big time. That girl talked to you.
Anyway, I support it. Yep. I also gotta say that Rudy and his dad has always had best friend energy. He knows everything about his dad, and I always loved how close they are to each other. Obviously, it can be to a fault sometimes, as we've seen in this episode, but for the most part, it's really sweet. How many animated fathers and sons do we see hate each other or can't get along? A ton. So I support this very sweet best friend father-son duo we got right here. Also, at the end of the episode, we actually do finally get the story of the first time Linda told Bob she loved him.
Lynn, I'm sorry I can't remember that really nice, important thing.
Bob, I told you, it's fine. Here's the story. We were by the beach, and a seagull pooped in my hair, and we didn't have any napkins, and so you just used your shirt. And I said it. Then you said that's a lot of poop. Now you remember?
Yeah, how did I not remember that?
So that's officially the end of the episode. I wanted to include this episode because I think it gives more context into their family situation. It also shows us, the audience, just how important Louise is to Rudy. Again, Louise was his emotional rock and took care of Rudy the best she could. Her support and guidance keeps this poor boy sane. Louise was the only person who was able to talk him down and get him to confront his feelings with his dad. Rudy's friendship with Louise is genuinely the most wholesome and comforting relationship in the show. Louise is genuinely a good friend that Rudy desperately needs in his life, especially at this point. And I'm glad that he's able to have a best friend who could support him like Louise does. A best friend who is 10 toes down and would probably kill for him. We all need a friend like that. The divorce was hard on Rudy. Throughout the series, Rudy has always given us hints about struggling with his parents' separation, but season 14 dove headfirst into the situation and gave us a new perspective on Rudy. Bob's Burgers has always found new ways to make creative episodes and explore different topics within them. This show isn't scared to try new things or occasionally pulling your heartstrings. Lately, Bob's Burgers has been trying new things with different characters and playing with different tones and different emotions and even different filming styles. I really appreciate them going above and beyond with their show. It is so easy to get comfortable and lazy when you've been doing a show for 14 seasons. But the fact that they're still taking risks this late in the game is inspiring. And hopefully this will inspire other shows to take more risk and do the same thing, especially since The Amazing Rudy has won an Emmy for how amazing and creative it is. Rudy is kind, reliable, and funny. He's not afraid to be himself no matter what other people say. He is a strong kid who, despite his home life, is able to keep moving forward. Even if his parents aren't together, he tries to make the best of the situation. And even when Rudy can't handle the situation, he always knows who he can turn to for support. He has friends who will always back him up or talk sense into him when he needs it. Parents who would do anything for him, even if they're still trying to figure out things for themselves. In the end, Rudy is resilient. With all the love and support he gets from the people around him, Rudy will eventually learn to be okay again. All he can do is hope for a better tomorrow and heal one step at a time. Thank you all so much for watching. This video was fun to make, but also it hurts. I hate seeing my Rudy like that. I hate to see it, but I love how amazing the episode turned out. I just love how emotional this show can get when it chooses to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I love Rudy and I can't wait to see more of him. Anyways, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!